Notnerd Podcast, episode 234, a whole lot of gibberish.
Welcome to the Notnerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we're here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
Greetings and salutations to you, my friend, my liege.
Yes.
I decided to be fancy today. You know
Well,
me.
thank you for that. Well, I cannot wait, Dave. I have been talking about purchasing something since the beginning of the podcast and further that I purchased today. Dave, any guesses of what that is?
A Tesla.
A Tesla, yes. I bought matching for my wife and I. No, not an electric vehicle. I'm happy with my 2004 CRV.
Actually, I'm gonna go for this. This is gonna be something. Oh, I know what it is. You bought a new TV.
You got it, Dave.
Yes.
My wife forced me, coerced me, made me go buy a new TV. I received a text message yesterday. I had been talking with my neighbor who works at Target about televisions. He said, "Oh, you need a 55? I'll keep my eye out." He sent me a text message with a picture of a TV in their warehouse yesterday and said, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Well, it's not the model I want. Let me look at it and compare things." And then I was saying that to Chelsea, and she said, "Just go buy it. I'm going to go buy it if you don't." So he put a hold on it for me, and I will spare you the suspense no longer. I purchased the TCL 55S425 55-inch 4K Smart LED Roku TV.
Mm-hmm. Well, that checks off all the things that I knew that you wanted. You wanted a TV around that size. You were looking at TCL, and you wanted Roku to be built in. So,
yes.
What did it not have that you were waiting for?
Well, there was a couple things. So I had talked on the podcast that there was a toss-up between the TCL and the Vizio, very similar, or Vizio 55-inch TV. The Vizio had AirPlay built in. Well, as I was researching stuff yesterday, I realized now that we're on YouTube TV, we do everything through the Apple TV. So what the TV has for built-in features doesn't matter. It's just what the Apple TV has. And so I decided I was also looking at TCL's. This is a 4 series. I was looking for a 5 or a 6 series. Mm-hmm. So I was looking at all that yesterday, and I just decided, you know what? I'm going to pull the trigger. Dave, how much would you pay for this TV?
For a 55-inch TV TCL, I cannot imagine this cost over $500. So I'm going to go with $500.
Yes, this is the 4 series. I ended up getting it for $270.
Are you kidding me?
No. So
Wow.
It is the 4 series. I set it up today. I've been watching some stuff. It looks great. Now I was like, well, am I going to regret not getting the 6 series TV? Another thing that my wife reminded me of, a quick history lesson. The current TV I have is a Vizio 50-inch that the manufacturer date was 2007. I purchased it about this time of year in 2007, maybe further into the summer. So I have had it for nearly 13 years. And I said, well, Chelsea, if I'm planning on keeping this TV for 10 years, and she goes, I'm not going to let you keep this one for 10 years. So I figured at $270 to go for a lower model. I could always return it if it ends up being horrible. The one thing that I'm somewhat worried about is the brightness level of the TV. We get some afternoon sun through the back windows that kind of put some glare on there. So that's the one thing I'm going to keep my eye on. But for $300 was the sale price, and then I had a little extra off at Target. But yeah, that was pretty exciting today. I've finally, after all this time, have a new TV, and I will update you and possibly make it a pick of the week soon.
Great. Well, that's good news, and thanks for sharing that. I have seen, as I walk by the electronics aisle in Walmart, week after week, there'll be this TV and this TV. Maybe it's a Samsung, but it's like their low-end model, or maybe there's like a no-name brand,
Westinghouse or Hisense or.
And they're big TVs for around that $300 price that you're talking. But I think I'm just gonna wait to pull the trigger we'd like to move into a larger home, and I'm thinking if we ever do that, that's the time.
Yes.
To buy
And
a
we
TV.
were discussing today, we have many family members that are moving right now that we are not going to move anytime soon, and a 55-inch is the exact right size for the spot where our TV goes, because the bezels are much thinner than my 13-year-old plasma TV.
Yeah. That's great. And now that's the big thing. Just briefly talk about the difference between LCD and plasma. Plasma is going to be typically brighter. It's going to have blacker blacks. However, it's going to use more electricity. It's going to get hotter. And so there are pros and cons of each.
Yes, major pro and con. I was looking up the specs of my old TV last night because I knew that thing was stinking heavy. It was 108 pounds.
Wow.
My old TV is 108 pounds. The new TV, 27 pounds. So, yes, just earthquake risk alone makes the holistic cost worth it.
Yeah.
This TV model does have 4.5 stars on Amazon with 9,500 ratings. So this is a very popular low-end TV, and the price has continued to drop. So I finally pulled the trigger.
Yeah, today's low-end TVs are the awesome TVs of yesterday.
Yes, well, let's move on to some follow-up after that exciting news. I did want to mention one thing. We were talking about Spotify and their move to podcasts last week. I saw something else. Just wanted to remind people that with Spotify, it only streams your podcasts. You are not able to download them and listen to them later. So if you are worried about data caps and you're out and about a lot, that is one thing to consider, whereas Apple or in many of the other apps, it will download them, say, overnight, and they'll all just be sitting there for you, where Spotify is streaming only. And I think the Google Podcast app does the same. They're able to track things better, and that's just what they've chosen to do.
I can't imagine that staying that way for very long.
Yes, you would think they would need to adjust that. They do allow you to download music onto your phone via Spotify for offline play, but or for less data usage.
I think it has to do with the dynamic insertion of ads while you're playing. So, but anyway,
I would agree on that.
We'll wait and see.
Another piece of follow-up, I really haven't tried this out, but the iOS 13.5 update that we talked about last week, they also made some improvements for using Face ID while wearing a face mask, which is very applicable to many people. And I've had that frustration being in a store trying to look at the shopping list, have to type in the code, all that stuff. So they've tried to make adjustments to make it work better.
And I can say with real life experience that it works much better, because I would swipe and it'd be like, oh, I'm trying to get your Face ID. Now it just immediately goes to the passcode.
Gotcha.
Type it in. So it is a much better experience.
Nice. We talked a couple weeks ago about Wink, the smart home company, going out of or starting to charge a subscription fee for all these people that have their devices. Well, I was listening to another tech podcast, and one of the hosts had driven to, they have a secondary vacation rental home type thing, and he switched out all the Wink stuff for somebody else. Well, then as soon as he got back home, it's had another email saying, sorry, we didn't really mean that. We're going to let you keep it for free forever. But he was like, hey, you know what? If they're going to pull this kind of junk, I'm going to switch off of them.
Why do companies keep trying to do this bait and switch stuff?
I don't know. You would think they would learn. Another thing that I noticed this week, Google Chrome now has Touch ID support. So my MacBook Pro with the little Touch ID button, it'll ask for the credit cards I have stored in there, for passwords and that kind of stuff. I can just tap on the thing there and it will let me right in. It was a pretty good experience already with LastPass and everything, but they have built-in Touch ID compatibility with Google Chrome, which takes away one more advantage of Safari.
Yeah. I recently have configured 3 separate computers for work that have Touch ID. And for the administrator account, I set it up and I was just like, oh, this is so nice. This is like my iPad. I just touch it and it works. So I don't personally own a computer that has it yet, but in the future I will. But I've been interfaced with them recently, and it's nice to see that Chrome now has that integration.
Yeah. Couple quick in the realm of streaming. HBO Max was released this last week. We talked about that, but it is not on Roku or Amazon Fire devices at launch, which is a pretty big miss there. For whatever reason, they weren't able to work that out. A lot of people have Rokus, like my new TV, or the Amazon Fire, the cheaper devices. But HBO Max, they have got a huge catalog of shows on there, Sesame Street and Friends and many others that are only available there. So one more competitor, we'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
And to compete with that, Hulu and Plex are also, like many of the other services, rolling out new features to watch with friends, where you can watch something together and be able to have that shared experience that we've talked about many times.
Yeah, I haven't tried this yet. Of course, with my family, we sit and watch TV together as they are all on their other devices, not paying attention and asking questions, which maybe infuriates me a little bit. If you can't hear my veiled opinion.
Yes.
But I would really be into trying to watch movies. So famously, Tyler and I used to go to movies all the time with our Movie Pass, and then Regal Movie Pass after Movie Pass died, or what is it, Regal Unlimited. But now that all the theaters are shut down, it might be nice for he and I to get together and watch something at the same time so we can discuss it and talk after the movie and compare notes. So I can see me doing something like this. However, it's really nice just to sit in your chair and in your underwear and your popcorn and watch the movie and pause it whenever you want to go to the bathroom or whatever. So
I caught some horrible new reality show last week. I forget the name of it.
Is it a guy sitting in a chair eating popcorn?
It was celebrities. Yes, it was exactly that. They had like 6 different celebrities and their families or whoever sitting in their living rooms watching. It was Titanic, which I've never seen. I heard it's a horrible movie.
No, it's good.
But they're like cutting to each of them discussing the movie, and it's just like, we are so desperate for content right now.
Okay, I would not watch that.
No,
show.
but I think it might be the introvert versus the extrovert thing, going back to these features, whereas I do like to watch something with somebody else, like with my wife, so that that shared experience is important to me, but I know it's not that way for everybody. And trying to watch the new Trolls movie with my almost 4-year-old daughter last night, the talking and questions and distractions thing made it very hard to watch the movie.
Yes, but it's better there than in the movie theater, though.
Where you're
that distracting would be everybody.
Very distracting. And one more on the streaming note, shocker, major advertisers are reworking their deals with Quibi after the first month. So Pepsi and Walmart, all of these services that paid probably top dollar, got convinced to pay top dollar for advertising on Quibi, it does say, have asked for the changes because of concerns about the service's low viewership or the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on
Did you say
businesses.
No viewership or low viewership?
It does say low, but that might have been a typo. So, Quibi, you are not long for this world. I have a feeling. A lot of money down the drain. One more streaming thing that I am very excited about. My wife and I were just bemoaning this issue yesterday. The YouTube Kids app is great. Our daughter, you can give it to her. You know she's going to find safe things. You can pull up things that are very applicable to her viewing needs. Finally, they have released YouTube Kids for Apple TV. They didn't, for some reason, they did not have this. So on Apple TV, I've talked about this before, it would just be, it's signed into my YouTube. So then my algorithm is all Peppa Pig videos.
Yeah.
So this is just great news. I'm very glad that they did that.
Good.
And we had talked about this before. One last piece of follow-up. Apple will open about 100 more stores in the U.S. this week as Phase 1s and Phase A's and Phase 2B's are all starting to happen. A lot of it will be curbside service, but some of them are allowing walk-ins, as we are seeing with many pieces of retail now.
Yeah, and I had this week the experience of going down to the Pioneer Square Apple store to pick up a computer, and it was all curbside. You go to one end of the building, they kind of check you in. You walk outside along the side of the building. They ask you your name. You show them your ID. They go grab the thing that you ordered online, bring it out to you, and then you're on your way. It wasn't too bad of an experience.
Yes, that must have been before Friday night. Because that Apple store was looted and all the windows were broken out and everything. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, this was Wednesday.
Yes. So. And I did make sure to let people know I did pay for my TV today. I did not participate. You
didn't loot
in any.
it? Okay.
No, I did not. Okay, and you know what's never looted? Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
I'll just let that one slide. Well, my tip of this week comes from our dear listener, Carolyn, who said, maybe you should tell people or talk about how other search engines go. Googling is a verb. It's part of our culture now. If you want to look up something on the internet, you Google it, right? Well, you may or may not know that there are other search engines available for your browsers to search on. And you might think, well, why would I ever want to do this? For those of you who are security conscious and privacy conscious, Google's probably not the best to give every single piece of information to, because if you use Gmail, they look at your Gmail messages for content to advertise against you. If you use their search engine, everything you type in there is being recorded and attached to your profile. If you do anything with any of their services, if you have an Android phone, if you download stuff from their app store, they build this wonderful profile on you that has every piece of information anyone would ever want. The government, businesses, third parties, whoever, the highest bidder, possibly. We just don't know. So you may want to move some of your online self off of Google and kind of spread it around a little bit to help obfuscate who you are and what you're doing and where you're going. It's relatively simple to do, and there are only a few players in this space, but the one that comes to mind is DuckDuckGo. Now, Nate, I'm sure you've heard of DuckDuckGo before.
Yes, I have.
It's a wonderful game where you have people in a circle and you put your hand on their head. No, this is a search engine, and their shtick is privacy focused. They don't keep track of all of the things you search for. They don't sell your information to third parties. They are the security-focused search engine, and they've gotten better and better over the years. And this may surprise you, but on your computer, you can change the default search engine in Safari, in Chrome, in Firefox, whatever. There's a list of ones, and we'll look through them in a moment. But not only that, you can also update the search provider on your mobile device. And you can do that on your iPhone or your Android.
So I've got Chrome open here, and I can look under my settings and search engine. It by default gives you the option for Google, Bing, Yahoo, or Ecosia, but you can also manage your search engines and add other ones if you would like DuckDuckGo.
Right, so you can manually put them in there. Safari, on the other hand, for Mac computers, has Google, Yahoo, which, yes, Yahoo is still around. I don't know that I would choose Yahoo. They are pretty famous for data breaches and sharing their information with third parties. Bing, which is Microsoft, as you mentioned, with Chrome. And then finally, DuckDuckGo is built into the Safari web browser.
Yes.
Now, so you go to, on Safari, you go to Safari, you open up the preferences, you navigate over to the search tab, and then there's a drop down where you can enable a different search. Now, I currently use Google. I've tried Bing, I've tried DuckDuckGo, and typically what happens is I'll be searching, I'll have it on there and I'll be using it for a couple of days, and I'll be searching for something. I'll just be like, I swear I found this last time I searched. Where is this page, or where is this information? And then I'll go, aha, I'm using Bing, or I'm using something else. So Google is just the best at what they do.
Yep.
And so I've decided to kind of weigh the pros and cons of using them. Now, as I've mentioned before, I have all kinds of filters and blockers and all this stuff on my web browsers. And so it's my hope that Google doesn't get as much information as they normally would. I'm probably deceiving myself. They're probably getting everything anyway. So I continue to use Google. But DuckDuckGo is a great alternative if you're security conscious, if you're just looking for something different, if you refuse to use Google for other reasons, like, for example, you're not going to use Chrome because that's Google. You're not going to use Gmail because that's Google. If you want to change your search browser, now you have options. Now, on your phone, it's relatively simple as well. I'll show you on an iPhone, or I'll explain to you on an iPhone what you do. You can just go into your settings, and then you scroll down on the main page, there is a Safari icon there. The second item down is search, and you can hit the search engine, and I get the same options here. I get Google, Yahoo, Bing, or DuckDuckGo, and you simply put the checkbox next to the one that you want to use, and it's all set. So it couldn't be easier to change. Again, if you're at all concerned about Google and the way they use your information, then I would say give DuckDuckGo a try.
I like it. I like it. On to our takes of the week. Tile, the little trackers, we probably could have put this on follow-up because we've talked about them plenty, sent a letter to the European Competition Commissioner, Margaret Vestager, accusing Apple of anti-competitive behavior, saying some of the changes that Apple has made in their settings for like always allow for like a Tile device if it can always be connected to Bluetooth or off, and that the Find My built into iOS is just on, unless you have that service turned off. Well, Apple has issued a direct response, and I quote, "We strenuously deny the allegations of uncompetitive behavior that Tile is waging against us. Consistent with the critical path we've been on for over a decade, last year we introduced further privacy protections that safeguard user location data. Tile doesn't like those decisions, so instead of arguing the issues on its merits, they've instead decided to launch meritless attacks."
Yowza.
Yeah, they did not hold back on that one.
That's pretty strong language that we usually don't hear from Apple.
Yes, but you can understand Tile's frustrations if it's not as easy to use their devices, and then Apple is long rumored to release their own device. They believe this is anti-competitive.
Well, I want to talk about that for a moment because this Find My technology is currently in its current form. If you have an Apple device, like an iPad, an iPhone, or a computer, you can use Apple's always-on location tracking technology to find these devices. You can hit a button on your watch and your phone will ring across the room so you can find it. Or if you leave something at the movie theater, you can look on a map and go, oh, I left this at the movie theater. Now, Tile is a separate hardware device that you attach to other things to track them. This is not a computer. It is not a handset. It is not anything. This is their little proprietary tracking device. Apple has said, hey, everybody, software, hardware, anything, we're going to ramp up the privacy protections for our customers. And we're going to say that you can't allow location always on, and that's what ticks Tile off. Now, this part about anti-competitive, because Apple may be launching something in the future that's kind of like Tile. It's like you're barking up the wrong tree. This product doesn't even exist yet.
Yes.
And so I think they're kind of being big babies about it. They're seeing their stocks go down. They're seeing their market share go down. And once Apple finally does release a product similar to Tile's done. Yeah. They're just done. I mean, I guess I appreciate that Tile is doing everything they can to keep their company afloat, but suing Apple for products that they may release in the future that would be anti-competitive, even if it would be anti-competitive, I don't know that it would be. But anyway, I'm just kind of hot about this because I think that they're picking on Apple for no reason, just other than they don't have a product that's viable in the future.
That's a great point. More news about the Xbox Series X, it's a mouthful, is being released, and it is going to have a lot of backward compatibility with older games, and it will also, when possible, add HDR and 120 frames per second support to these older games. So it will try to upscale like an original Xbox game or Xbox 360 game. We do love backwards compatibility, and it'll be interesting to see how this upscaling plays out. But being able to, like someone like you, Dave, who has a million older games, if you were able to get the new system, being able to play all those older games is very nice.
So I've been on a path to purchase an Xbox One X or S. And now I'm confused. An Xbox One X, because they were on sale a few months ago, full well knowing that the Xbox Series X will be coming out later this year. And of course, that's probably going to be like $500. But the new one that's coming out later is the one that upscales. And so I was thinking, I want to get a 1 because of its compatibility features that you talked about. I could play my Xbox 360 games on it. I could play current games on it. But now that, summer's started, we're really close to summer, I'm thinking I'm just going to hold off. I'm not going to touch the Xbox One generation of consoles, and I'm just going to wait for this X, because then I can play any Xbox One games that I want to buy that are going to be now on sale because it's the last generation's console. I've got tons of Xbox 360 games, and I even have a few Xbox original games. So this, for a guy like me who wants to play games but wants to spend as little money as possible doing it, is the greatest thing in the world. Yes. I'm looking forward to this console.
Very nice. YouTube has announced, or they are introducing video chapters on YouTube. Now, I do listen to a tech podcast where they tend to ramble, and they use the chapter
like
feature.
Me?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Some of you guys are going, yes, we know you listen to your own podcast. But podcasts, there are podcasts out there where they will use chapters where you can skip ahead in the podcast. Now you guys are all going to be crying for us to add those so you can skip past my ramblings.
Skip to the picks of the week. That's all we care about.
Yeah, maybe we should just move those to the first and then you can stop listening. I'm just kidding. You guys love every minute. But I think this would be nice for YouTube. Doesn't mean that there will be video chapters, but it gives the option for, say a longer video where you'd be able to move forward, move back a little easier, skip to a next section, have some chapter titles so that you could get to the part where you want. So we'll see how this goes into real world use, if it will be widely adopted or if it'll just be a couple people that decide to do it.
Yeah, I think it'll have a slow startup, and then in the future, it'll just be a normal thing.
Yes. I will remind people that we are the most nonpartisan tech podcast on the internet. But there was a big story this week that we cannot pass by, that Twitter labeled for the first time a Trump tweet with a fact check. And then I believe they did it again. They put maybe a violence warning or some sort of other warning on another tweet. But the first one, he was talking about the issues with mail-in voting. And Twitter decided to put a little thing on there that says facts about mail-in voting. It was a big thing, and then Trump came out and said that he is going to basically, shut down Twitter, or some new decree from whatever Trump said he was going to do. I saw that he was saying he was going to release it. I don't know if the actual document was released of what he's doing. Now, Twitter and Trump have a very interesting relationship. I would say that there is a good chance that Trump has saved Twitter over the last couple of years, because either people are looking to see what he's saying or they're talking about him. So I would love to know what percentage of tweets are related to Trump. It's got to be some number. Well, yes, technically it does have to be some number, because I know it's greater than 0, and 0 is a number.
But you're right. That's where people go to hear from the president, because that's where he's chosen to communicate to the populace, is through Twitter. So his involvement there has really saved Twitter as a platform, because it is definitely a draw to people who are both critics and supporters.
Yes. But yeah, we will see how this unfolds. It's this constant battle of the, not censorship, but filtering false news and labeling things accurately. Another big story that I didn't link to is about all the bots. Some study said there's an insane amount of bots on Twitter. So it is a constant battle, as we always say, trying to keep on top of things and make sure that accurate information is being shared, which I don't know how you're ever going to figure that out, because there are very relative definitions of what accurate and truth are these days.
That is true.
And speaking of Twitter, one new piece, Dave, the next time you're thinking of that tweet that you want to send out in 18 months, you can now schedule your tweets up to 18 months in the future.
Wow, that's really good to know.
Yes.
I have so many tweets that go out that I don't want to spam my 6 followers. And so if I could just write a bunch and then maybe once a day for 6 months, just have them ahead of time, then I could go on vacation maybe.
Yes,
I don't know.
yes. And with the marketing that I do, a lot of businesses or agencies will plan out a bunch of tweets into the future so somebody can spend an hour on the week's tweets and that sort of thing and schedule them out. And they've improved how that's done and scheduling multiple tweets. But one of the concerns with that whenever I do that is, especially these days, a lot can happen in the world, and even say a week that a tweet could come across as very mistimed if you schedule it out too far. So...
Well, I think what a lot of this is for the advertising community and for marketers. They can get everything set up ahead of time. They can have their campaigns. They can set it and forget it and not have to worry about it. Now, I will say to all of our listeners out there, I am available to follow on Twitter at Davy B. That is DAVYB. And if you follow me on Twitter and post a hashtag Notnerd, I will follow you back.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Follow back. Hashtag follow back.
Yeah. So if you hashtag your tweet Notnerd, I will follow you back.
Wow.
But you have to follow me first. And let's see if we can double it from my 4 followers to 8 followers.
Yes.
I don't know.
I got my fingers crossed for you. Well, our security and privacy story of the week, we've talked in the past about these bounty programs that many technology companies have, that if you can find bugs, they will pay you. And I'm not even going to try to say his name, but I will try to say a Indian vulnerability researcher was paid $100,000 for a highly critical vulnerability affecting its sign-in with Apple system. So this is how these things are supposed to work. You have the masses where it is worth it for them to be looking for these things and for them to share them with Apple as opposed to selling them on the black market.
So you would rather say vulnerability 2 or 3 times than say Bhavik Jain? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if that's how you say it.
Pronounce the name.
That's pretty good. Well, our bonus odd take of the week. This was a fun one. I find so much good stuff off of kotkey.org, but in this time of social distancing, there have been several pictures taken of squirt gun baptisms where you have priests and other religious clergy using squirt guns to bless babies. And it is just a goofy thing seeing them with these silly squirt guns. They're not even Pope-blessed squirt guns, I don't believe, but they are using holy water, I'm guessing, in these squirt guns to bless the babies.
These, I mean, I can see these if this is fun. It seems completely unnecessary to me. But there's a great picture in this article of you've probably seen it if you've been online and the past couple weeks, but a priest with a pink squirt gun looks like he's going to off this baby that the mom is holding. Pretty funny.
It is pretty funny, but you know what's always funny and important are picks of the week. That might be my worst segue ever.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I'll just move on. How does that sound? So today I thought, there needs to be more fun and humor in this world. And what's more fun and humorous than a game? Let's talk about games today.
That's a new one.
Today, I thought for iOS, we need some new games to play. And I tipped off Star Wars fan Elliot a few weeks ago about this one. But it's called Trench Run - Space Race! By Nicola Zangrando. I don't know if he has any other games or what. But if you're familiar with Star Wars at all, in the first movie, Episode 4, Luke Skywalker goes to the Death Star and he goes down the trench, and it's called the Trench Run, and he has to shoot something to make the thing blow up. No spoilers here. Does he do it or does he not? I'm not going to say. But in this game, you kind of have this rudimentary trench and some ships that look an awful lot like Lucasfilm / Disney intellectual property.
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, I think instead of an X-Wing, it's an X-Speed, a Royal Force.
Nice.
Yeah, an 8-wing instead of a B wing or maybe an A wing. I don't know. Anyway, they've got it far off enough. I don't think they're going to get sued. But this game is not unlike other kind of 3-track endless runners. It's a game set up not unlike Subway Surfers, where you've got these 3 rails that your ship is on going into the screen, and you swipe left and right to avoid obstacles, to avoid guns shooting at you. And there's a boss at the end of some of the levels that you have to defeat, and it just goes on and on and on. And of course, you can buy different upgrades and different ships with the in-game currency. And of course, you can spend real money to get in-game currency if you do not want to earn it the traditional way. So regardless, as I mentioned, with all the things going on in the world, these trench run, Subway Surfer, rodeo roundup type games where they're just kind of endless runners, take your mind out of what's going on and focus it on your screen so that you can kind of separate from reality for a while. But this one's kind of fun. If you're a Star Wars fan, if you're kind of a endless runner fan, this one pushes all those buttons, and it's a lot of fun to play.
Nice. Well, my pick of the week this week is something, and I'm looking on Amazon. I purchased this on May 25th, 2019, so almost exactly a year since I purchased this. I think my wife used it once briefly last year, but it is the Greenworks 1500 PSI 13 amp 1.2 GPM pressure washer GPW 1501. Many years ago, our backyard, there's a little green space behind, so it just gets really mossy and dirty and everything. And I had borrowed my dad's huge industrial gas-powered pressure washer, and it was tedious. So I bought this last year thinking I would use it to clean the back patio off again, which I did not. And it is an electric pressure washer, so you just plug it into the outlet. You don't need gasoline and all of the mess that comes with that. You hook your hose in, and then you can pressure wash. It's not a commercial grade one, but we don't need that. We just need a low one. The best thing about this product, because I did not use it for so long, my lovely wife has spent the last week in little spurts pressure washing our back patio and planning to do the first one. So that's why it's my pick of the week, because my wife is using it. She does love to clean a little more than I do, but this is just a great little, if you don't have a huge yard or a huge, patio or area that you need to clean, but you just need something that can do a little pressure washing for you. This is a great way to go. It's got 4 stars on 1,528 ratings. Dave, what would you pay for this?
I don't know. I will say before I get to that, I'm asking for a friend. Is this something that you would lend out to somebody?
Oh, yes. That was one of my initial intentions of this thing. So you may borrow it any time that Chelsea is not using it.
I've got some projects here. A little thing on our porch to paint, which needs cleaned off. I've got a driveway that's not very big. I've got a little back slab just like yours. So we'll talk after. But I'm thinking... I have no concept. I'm going to go with what first came in my mind, $125.
The list price is $115, and I believe I also purchased it at $89, which is the current price a year later. Let me check the camel real quick. Yeah, it looks like it floats right around $89.
It's near the retail price, but yeah, sounds like you can get it much cheaper.
Yeah, and it is available on Prime, free delivery by Friday. And our Ramazon purchase of the week, keeping in line of home improvement, I love looking at the anonymous reports of what you guys use our links to buy on Amazon. And somebody purchased, I'm guessing you're going to be spot on this because I think you know quite a bit about this product, Dave. This is the 5-gallon SX5000 WB DOT approved water-based silane, siloxane, concrete sealer, and masonry water repellent.
What? So this is some stuff you put on your concrete so that it doesn't seep in water? Is that what it is?
Yes, water repellent and concrete sealer so that to avoid cracks and all of that stuff. Yeah. It's a sealant. So 5-gallon bucket of this.
5 gallons?
Yes. What would you pay, Dave?
This thing's going to be $45.
Oh, you wish, Dave.
I don't know.
$224.75.
So I'm just thinking the shipping of this thing alone.
Geez.
Anytime you have liquid in a 5-gallon thing is really heavy.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, a couple $100. I have no concept. I have not done any of this, but it's probably worth it. I mean,
you would
5 gallons is going to cover a big space. I would hope.
You would hope. It is available Prime, free delivery by Wednesday.
Wow.
If you order now, it is made by Armor. But thank you for whoever purchased that through our link. That helps us keep the podcast afloat. I'm doing a quick search to see if it's available anywhere else at a different price. At Home Depot, it's $249. So to have it delivered to your house, you don't have to lug it around your car.
I was going to say probably part of the cost is the shipping, that they've just kind of rolled that in, like $20 worth. But it sounds like they've got a good price, even with
maybe this is what I need to do on my back patio. There we go. I'll see if Chelsea wants to do that as her next project.
She needs more to do.
Yes. Well, with that, we are going to wrap up this episode. We've thrown plenty of tech goodness at you. Now get out there and tech better. No, I didn't. I was like, what? Home Depot. I love looking at the inanimate. This is exactly how these things are supposed to work. They are just. Wow, that was a whole lot of gibberish.